give us the importance to um recognize the act of a female that moves in a promiscuous manner. And what would you advise the youth to look out for when they're dealing with a promiscuous woman? Because a lot of times dudes that might have that scarcity mindset might link up with a female that that belongs to the streets. So it'd be dope for you to give us a breakdown on that.
Yeah, so female promiscuity is a recent phenomenon, openly anyway. I think women have been somewhat promiscuous in the past anyway, because in many cases they're forced to. Like if they pair bonded with a guy and he goes off hunting the saber-toothed tiger and he died, she'd have to pair bond to another guy. So women are adapt to mate switch from guy to guy. A lot of people in the Manoswamp call it like monkey branching, for example, because women can move very quickly from dudes. But
Right.
a woman that has been with a bunch of guys is a extremely bad choice for a long-term mate choice, especially if you're looking for something like a mother for your kids, for example. There's been lots of studies done on this. They're all factual. People get pissed off at it all the time. It doesn't matter. Getting mad at the facts doesn't change the fact that they're facts. If you have a problem with the facts, the problem is not with the facts, it's with you, basically. But they all reveal the exact same end game, which is a woman that's been with more guys has a harder time sticking to a guy in a long-term relationship. So for example, and by the way, another part of that equation is the younger they are when they lose their virginity, again, the less likely they are to form a healthy pair bond to a guy. So if you take two women, you take a woman that's 14 when she loses her virginity and has been with 100 guys by the time she's 30 and gets right with God and wants to settle down and have family and stuff like that. And you take another woman that was maybe 23 and was with one guy in a long-term relationship for 7 years, and you meet her again at 30, you're dating these two women, simultaneously. A lot of guys will just overlook her promiscuous past, like the woman that's been with 100 guys. They'll just say, she's gotten right with God, she's a good person, she says she wants a family, she's serious. But women are interested in men's future. Men need to be interested in a woman's past. The woman with the big notch count sucks, statistically speaking, at staying in a healthy, monogamous, pair bonded relationship with a man. They leave marriages, women leave marriages 8 times out of 10. So whenever there's a divorce filed through the courts, it's usually women filing it, not men. And the vast majority of women that are doing it are women with larger notch counts, right? Just a fact of life. It's an unfortunate, reality, but promiscuity doesn't affect men the same way that it affects women. So, she's been with a bunch of guys. So what's the difference if you're guy number 101 and things aren't going her way in the marriage? Maybe you're not providing, maybe you're not paying for stuff, maybe you're not agreeing to everything that she wants. What's going to stop her from bouncing to guy number 102 if she's already done it 100 times, right? And if you've got kids with her, family law is going to cover her ass and protect her to make sure that she's got full access to the kids or strong access to the kids, and money flows from the father to the mother. There's really no benefit whatsoever to pair bonding with women over a long-term basis. They might make good F buddies, friends with benefits, like fun girls, but you certainly don't want to give them the key to your house or, put a ring on their finger or anything like that.
Right. And sometimes guys they have a hard time to discern whether she's um marriage material, or they might just fall for the okey doke and wife up a smut that belongs to the street. Now, my next question for you is: do you think like the laws get these females conditioned to um, get a scapegoat with these marriages and take a dude to the cleaners? Like, do you think the law kind of like perpetuate that somewhat negative behavior, kind of like
Yeah.
a negative reinforcement? I mean, a positive reinforcement.
Yeah, that's one of the problems that I talked about in family law in my book as well. You're going to have to read the book to get the full details, but to sort of summarize an area of the book, there was a woman that was a married woman, and she had a couple kids. And as women do when they're sitting around at work on their lunch break, they talk. And she was talking to a friend of hers that was a single mom, does the exact same job. So let's say they're customer service reps, for example, they make the exact same money. And they were
Mhm.
comparing what their take home income was monthly. The married woman with the kids, and then the single mom with the kids that was also divorced. And even though they did the exact same job, the government, the way that it structures family law, makes sure that the single mom gets paid more money monthly, take home income. She gets a higher take home income than the married woman. And the point that the married woman made it in these comments, and I've got it word for word, so you can actually read the exact quotes in the books. But the point that she made was that there's no incentive for me to stay married to my husband. There's incentives in law and employment law so that women who leave their husbands actually can have a higher take home income, and they don't have to put up with his shit either, right? Because the money has to flow to them, but they don't necessarily have to put up with his shit, as they like to say, sort of thing. So that kind of exemplifies how society is structured today. And most people don't understand that. Like when I say unplug, from the lies, that's one of the thousands of lies that I'm talking about that a lot of people refuse to accept because they think they've been told their entire life, just do the right thing, be a man, wife her up, have a family, have babies with her and stuff like that. But one of the things that you start to realize when you unplug from the matrix is that they tell men and women very different things. They tell men, you do what's right, but they tell women, you do what's right for you, girl. Right. So there's a big difference there.
Man, that's dope explanation right there. Now with the blue pill, you know, uh, with the blue pill thing, right? Like, do you think like what's the solution to help guys that's indoctrinated with this blue pill mindset? Like, do you think there's a solution, or is this one of those things where you gotta learn through life experience? Because sometimes when you give them the cheat code, they might turn around and get mad at you for
Yeah.
giving them that good advice. And I mean,
Yeah, and they usually do. Like most plugged-in betas will get pissed off at you. They'll call you names. They'll say that you're a misogynist. They'll ask you questions like "Who hurt you?" and stuff like that. Women especially, will use that line. But look, like my advice to guys is don't try to unplug people that don't want it. Right? Like the teacher will appear when the student is ready, as the old saying goes. So what usually happens is some chaos happens in some guy's life. They get heartbroken. Their girlfriend cheats on them, go and fuck some guys, sort of thing. And then they start looking for answers on the internet. Maybe they find my YouTube video. Maybe they find, a link to something posted in some discussion forum or, something like that. And then that's when they start to read and dive deep into the rabbit hole. And then they start to realize, yeah, okay, now this kind of adds up and makes sense. Now I understand why she did what she did and why women make these choices and, so on and so forth, because there's so many different tunnels and paths that you go down when you start to discover this new information that helps you level up in life. And what a lot of guys like to do is they go and find that information because of the chaos they had in life, and they go and sit down with their buddies and they're like, dude, you got to hear about this hypergamy thing, or you got to understand that women don't care about your struggles. They hang out at the finish line and they fuck the winners, and they start using these sound bites, right? And
right,
most of these guys are like, they're not ready for it. It's like they aren't even close to being ready for it because they haven't experienced the chaos that the guy that was sitting there one night thinking about putting a noose around his neck and ending his life. They never get to that part of like absolute trauma. And unfortunately, it seems like that's what guys have to get close to, is they have to feel that, the sleepless nights. They've got that gut wrenching pain where they can't eat, or like whatever it happens to be because of that trauma in their life. And it usually comes because of relationships with women. But when you start to take the blinders off, you ever see those horses, walking around the park with the blinders on and they only see straight? Well, that's how most guys start. They have the blinders on and like, okay, now I think I understand the true nature of women. I've unplugged, I've taken the red pill, whatever it is you want to call it. And then they start to expand that. They're like, oh shit, they lied to me about a whole bunch of stuff. They lied to me about medical procedures. They lied to me about the pandemic. They lied to me about education. They lied to me about degrees. It's like you start
right,
to see that
right.
there's a lot of lies that are perpetuated in society to try to control you, to keep you under the thumb, right?
Okay, okay. Oh, so you kind of like, okay, I see
I
where you get.
go I go well beyond just chicks. Like most of the guys out there
Right.
focus on getting the girls, right? And it's like, dude,
Yeah.
like when you take the blinders off and you start to see the rest of the world around that, it's not
Hmm.
just women and relationships that you've been lied about. You've been lied about how to make money. You've been lied about how to create wealth. You've been lied about medical procedures and health, conditions and stuff like that, right?
Right.
I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full-length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here, and pin down below in the top comment, you'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line, books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.